So we recently made a couple of videos about the bot. We threw out some pretty big, pretty lofty numbers, and we got some pushback, especially from Millin in Australia, who is a Tesla enthusiast, a businessman, a company founder, and the owner of TeslaTaxi.com.au. The AU, of course, stands for gold, baby. So he's here to tell us where we got it all wrong. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Millin, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Very, very well. It's here in sunny Queensland, a few clouds, but it's looking good to me. What about yourself?
Doing good. Weather was beautiful today as well. So I got this note from you. This was said, building humanoid robots will need to fund 70% of Mars. This was part of a longer email. Each human bot can sell for from 2032 for about $220,000 sex class or $115,000 construction defense class with a gross profit of about 30%. Maximum demand 1-to-3 ratio for all 8 billion people. So that's 2.6 billion bots, net profit average of 35,000. That's 91 trillion over 15 years, and bam, you got yourself to Mars. Millin, when did you write this?
That would be about a year and a half before the dancing bot in a costume.
Yeah, so before the bot was announced, you were looking at this, and your conclusion was the Mars mission, in order to happen, will require a bot.
Yeah, and if you do the numbers, like Elon said, I think he said 1 million tons roughly to support Mars. So you just put any value per kilo for that, and you've got to have trillions. You're not in the dozens of dollars.
No, it might cost a few dollars. So we're going to look at the numbers two different ways. We're going to look at it in terms of sales, but then we're going to look at it in terms of the leasing opportunities to make the numbers really bonkers. I could spoil the numbers here, but if you're looking at the thumbnail, which I assume you did before you clicked the video, you'll know that the numbers are a little higher than $1 trillion. So bot retail cost, what do you think it's going to be?
Look, and it could be any number, but if you just pick 30K per bot US, then that's going to be, not too far short of where they start and not too far above where they end up.
And 30% margin?
Yeah, on the hardware, I think Tesla will aim towards 30% on hardware, but the main profit from FSD in cars and the main profit from the bots is going to be the software of the drivers. So obviously you're going to have your factory worker driver for your bot, you're going to have your just work with me at home, or you're going to have eventually doctor class and all that sort of stuff, which obviously you'll be paying a much higher monthly rate for.
How many bots a year do you think they're going to be selling, let's say partway through the ramp, just to keep these numbers a little bit within the realm of non-insane?
Yeah, look, I think it's always good to just base it on, is it going to be more or less than cars? So if we've got a number of 20 million cars per year in 2030, then in my opinion, bots could be up to 5 times that, because it'll be more than 5. Less than a fifth the amount of batteries. Batteries have traditionally been the bottleneck with cars. So yeah, if you just imagine Tesla's ramp towards 20 million cars and then Tesla's ramp towards 100 million bots, it should be, give or take a year or two here or there, you should be in that path.
Okay, well that is a paltry $9 trillion over 10 years of manufacturing. So almost $1 trillion a year. That is just on the sale, not on the actual purchase. Although that would be 1 billion bots. There will be competition in that space. It's not like it's going to overnight take over the entire market and remain the only bot out there. So considering there's different bots with different abilities, there's ones that may have high torque applications. There are ones that may have different suites enabled, like you suggested, medical or legal, or any number of things that would require a certification, so to speak. But let's just take the average. What is the lease cost going to be on a monthly or yearly basis, fleet-wide?
I think the best way to look at it is based on what you expect minimum wage to be. So if you're a factory worker and you're earning 30,000 a year, then that's, all of that or half of that will be the driver cost for your software to have your bot work in a factory. I would imagine that Tesla will aim to have a lot of these publicly owned, like they are with the cars, and then let the owners and Tesla profit off the wages. So 30,000 a year. So that's, let's call that half of that for Tesla. $1,000 a month as your minimum kind of driver cost for a bot that can go out and work for you, I think is a reasonable starting point, and up to 10 or 20 times that for high-end jobs.
I think it's hilarious and quaint that you think minimum wage is 30,000. In the U.S., it's more like 15,000. In some states, in my states, it's closer to 30. But
if you're working an 80-hour week, you should be pulling 30 grand.
That's absolutely true. And these bots will have the capacity to work at least 130 hours a week. So we're going to say the lease per year, 30,000.
Yeah, well, again, if you say 50-50 with the Tesla and the owner of the bot, then 15,000 for Tesla per year, 15,000 income for the owner.
Okay. Now, I know I've asked you this before, but we're going to do it again anyway. Bots sold in 2024. So next year, you said something like hundreds?
Yeah, well, I don't think they'll sell any. I think they'll build a lot for their factories, and I think the sales will start 12 months after. So let's say public sales in 2025, 10,000, I think is a good starting point.
2025, 10,000. Okay, so if we're just looking at the 10,000 sold in 2025, that's at 15,000 a year each. That's 150 million in profit in operating revenue. Because like you said, split the cost. We can figure that the ongoing maintenance costs, if they're owned, is probably the responsibility of the owner instead. And if they're not selling them outright, it would certainly be covered under some kind of, you could work it in. It's not going to be monumental. So just from that, just the 10 year, just doing 10,000 a year for 10 years, you're looking at $5.5 billion in profit. And we haven't even started the ramp. So in 2026, what do you think there? Are we going 4 times 2025 numbers?
Yeah, I think the ramp up to 5-to-1 cars is going to be between 3 and 5x per year. So you can go from 10,000 to 50, then maybe from 50 to 200, and so on. That sort of ramp.
So 50,000 in 2026, 200,000 in 2027. Already we're at 64 billion, and we're only doing 200,000 a year from 2028 to 2033. And we sold none in 2024. Oh yeah.
Tesla China can do 1 million cars a year in their sleep. So I think, getting up to 1 million bots quickly is not out of the question. So let's just ramp that up to 800 to 1.5 per year pretty quickly, I reckon.
So 2028, 800,000. 2029, 1.5 million. And should we hold steady at 1.5, or are we still climbing from there?
No, look, I think going up a little bit, but maybe just doubling that every year for 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 years.
So 2030 doubles to 3 million in production, and 2021 6 million, and we'll leave it flat there for 2032 and 2033.
It'll probably be more.
Okay, so that puts us at only $694 billion. Billion. So we gotta. Now, I think the lease would not be 15,000 for Tesla's side. I think Tesla would take more than that. I think they would take at least 2,000 a month. Could I change your 15,000 figure to 24,000?
Yeah, look, that's fine. And I think that, as I said, there's going to be a range of jobs from minimum up to maximum. So yeah, if you want to pick an average at the lower end,
sure.
Let's do it.
24,000. That gets us over $1 trillion by 2030. By the 10 year of 2030, but the revenue is almost half a trillion a year. Oh, that puts us, because it's climbing so fast, because these are adding. And each year after this, there will be some units that are no longer operational after 8 or 9 years, but that would be mostly because they're less efficient than the new ones. Now, we said 6 million in 2031. Should we take that to 10 million in 2032 and leave it there?
Yeah, let's do that. It's conservative, but let's just for the bottom dollar, why not?
1.4 trillion. That's not sales, that's profit. That's new revenue coming in, that's you gets to keep. That's a pretty substantial amount of money. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, and I've read some math books, and the results seem to be conclusive. That's not nothing.
No, that is correct. I actually read that about math too. And the insane thing is we're only talking a grand total of 31 million bots. So if we take 2033 up to 20 million, yeah, then you're at 20. At that point, you're bringing in an additional 870 billion in profit per year. That's a big number. And again, at that point, we're only at 41 million robots. That's less than the population of California. That's less than the population of Canada, which is quite empty.
Probably 5% of where I think we'll get to within the next 20 years, yeah.
And then even if you hold steady at 20 million, your numbers are going to get real batty real quick. So these are some insane numbers that you kind of love to see. So what I need in the comments is I need you guys to tell me, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Is it insane to say 20 million? That's only equal to the number of cars they plan to sell years earlier. So, I mean, if we get to 20 million cars in 2030 and we get to 20 million bots in 2030 and just match it, then we're at 3.5 trillion in revenue if we ramp to 20 million units by 2030. Just matching the car output with something that has substantially fewer atoms, a fraction of the battery pack, the same hardware in terms of the electronics, except 500 feet less of it. It's going to be, and that only puts you at 82 million bots cumulative with revenue of $3.5 trillion. Let's see what that comes out to per month for fun. $294 billion. Let's see what that's per day, just because this is goofy. $9.5 billion a day divided by 24 is $500 million an hour. Divided by minutes. This divided by 60 minutes. $6.5 million a minute. Yeah. And it's $112,000 a second. And, you can't manufacture that quick. Yes, you can. Because you're not manufacturing bots at that point. You're manufacturing hours of labor, which is a different picture altogether. So that would make it crazy. Crazy for sure, but not impossible.
Don't forget, Tesla isn't going to have to employ humans to build all these things.
Are they? Maybe the first ones. Maybe not. Maybe not the ones after a couple years, which will raise a whole other set of questions in terms of ethics and legality. And once all labor is gone, who's left to buy them? But that can be worked on later.
I think universal basic income is an inevitability, as Musk and others have said. So I think we'll see that by 2035, if not 2030.
My thought is they're going to need to tax the bots. These bots need to pay taxes, and those taxes need to go into a fund for the arts. If you want to become a rapper, congratulations, here's your grant, become a rapper. Maybe you'll be successful, maybe you won't.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla sets aside 10 or 20% of their cut to go towards universal basic income, whether that's through government taxes or whether it's their own initiative. That they are about making the future better, and that will be one of the only ways to do it.
Well, I hope it's not strictly on their own initiative, because Tesla is only one company, and shareholders could file a lawsuit over that. I hope it's mandatory, because everyone is going to at least try to be building bots. There will be competition. If this works, there will be competition in this space. You've seen it on all kinds of disruptive industries. When something works, everyone copies it. But But 82 million bots is not a crazy number, because that would be 1 per 100 humans. That's not a crazy number at all. And
if I can just drop in one little prediction there, I think you'll find that the face of the bot is basically the same type of screen as the Apple Vision Pro. So Elon will be able to tele himself into the China factory and walk around and do all that sort of thing. People will see his eyes the same way as you can through the Apple Pro. So I think you'll find that released in version 1.
That would be wild and not impossible, or not. Yeah, there's no reason you can't. So I did want to thank my patrons who get early access, bonus content, help keep the channel running. You can also become a member on YouTube now. I've got that enabled. I've got a video or two over there saying welcome, and some others that will be going up soon. And someday soon I'll be able to turn on Twitter subscriptions. But in the meantime, there'll be a video on YouTube about why that's so difficult.
So yeah, if I can jam in a quick plug, Brian.
Yes,
if
please.
you don't mind maybe putting a link to our F150 Lightning rental service, where we're hoping to later this year give people the option to rent an F150 Lightning for a week and then take a CyberTruck for 2 days at the end for an extra $100. As a bit of an A/B testing sort of a scenario. So yeah, if you want to hit me up on Twitter, if you've got any interest in meeting with me, I'm hoping to be over there in August. And obviously, in the meantime, if you want to check out what we're planning on doing with Tesla car subscriptions, you can jump onto teslataxi.com.au and have a look at what we're planning there as well.
Yeah, and that's an awful... it's an interesting program, and I've been following it since he first started working on it. And as I like to do at the end of these, I've pulled up some of the AI images that were generated when I typed in Tesla bot army. I put in a bunch of other keywords as well to get me what I was looking for, but we did get one very lovely bot. I'm sure she'll survive the robot wars. I don't say sexy, but some of them just, I guess that's what the data set it trained on learns. And really, if you're adventurous, isn't anything sexy? Interesting.
I don't know if it's going to be for everyone, but if you imagine that lovely lady jumping in a Tesla and going and meeting a few gentlemen each day, her price tag would probably be paid for at some point.
At some point. And the other thing we didn't discuss is the reduction of costs as the factory ramps to 20, 30, 100, whatever the number is. The costs will continue to fall. And then the bots can work in the factory, which reduces costs again. And
as you rightly said before, it's a collection of atoms. So there's less atoms in a bot than a car. Therefore, eventually the price should be substantially lower.
When it comes to shipping them, you can only fit 8 Model Ys on a semi before you get over the gross vehicle weight limit. How many of these could you fit on a semi? You could pack them in like sardines.
Yeah, send them off on a 747 just to the local airport. 1 plane per week, and you got your distribution covered.
Wow, didn't even think of that. That would be pretty funny. Yeah, that is an interesting idea. Okay. So yeah, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Leave it in the comments. For everybody else, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And stay tuned, stay juicy. And I can't wait to hear from you, clever robots, in a matter of days, maybe next week, when we see Millin again to discuss a couple more car companies that may or may not be doomed.